All right, now we begin the news at this hour in Nigeria's southwest state of Ondo State, where we understand that Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has died at the age of 67. According to a family source, Akeredolu died in Lagos as his health condition was being managed by State House doctors up to his death because they could not fly him abroad. The ailing governor returned to Nigeria in September following a 3-month medical leave in Germany and only recently proceeded on another one after he was directed by President Bola Tinubu to hand over power to his deputy, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Now, following his return to Nigeria in September, Akeredolu stayed in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, and tried to govern his state from there, leading to public outrage. His deputy, Aiyedatiwa, has been standing in as acting governor. Now, joining us on the news is Dotun Ojon, and he's a former Ondo governorship aspirant. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me, Dotun. All right. In the absence of Dotun, we'll move on to our guest, our studio guest right here in the studio, and we're talking about Okiki Adeniran. He's a legal practitioner. Good afternoon, Okiki, and thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
All right, so now it's really a sad one, you know, what this particular story, this particular death of the Ondo State governor is quite sad.
Yeah.
Now, but at what point do you think, because before his death, there was a lot going on when it came to, you know, him and his deputy governor and, you know, him taking power, you know, since he had, you know, an illness. It talked about leukemia and also prostate cancer.
Yes.
At what point do you think that the whole imbroglio between deputy governors and their principals would actually end when it comes to politics in Nigeria?
You know, let me start by saying that I empathize with the family of Governor Akeredolu and also with the people of Ondo State. It's a difficult time for them at this point in time. And I believe that they will get over and move ahead. Just to answer your question, I believe that as we speak now, we've seen two scenarios, talking about President Yar'Adua's scenario and Governor Akeredolu's scenario. You know, these issues, these scenarios, they brought into the political space some things that, you know, were supposed to be corrected when the first one happened. And it has happened again. You know, as we speak, the family has not really given a statement in that sense, which I believe that will come probably during the day. But to just state clearly, these things will stop when politicians are ready to follow the Constitution. The Constitution is clear about things to be done when we have issues like this. The Constitution should be followed strictly, and there should be no hanky-panky about it.
Okay, well, now I'm being told that we actually have joining us Dotun Ojon. He's a former Ondo governorship aspirant. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me at this time, Dotun.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
All right, so first of all, why is there no official confirmation from, you know, the Akeredolu family or even his party or even the Ondo State, you know, acting governor at this time on his death? Yeah.
Okay, usually in a case like this, the acting governor will not be the first to come out to say whether we have lost the governor or not. And that's because of the fact that he has been repeatedly accused of wanting to take over power at all costs by all means. So if he comes out to the community now to release a statement, it may actually be misconstrued. And that's why everyone is still waiting on the family. They are the first, because I must confess to you, I met with the acting governor some weeks back, and the conversation has always been around the fact that he too was not properly treated by members of the family. He will not, I doubt whether he can categorically say that he had direct access to the governor in the last week. So until perhaps recently, a man who has gone through that, in our culture in Yoruba, you will not go to the marketplace to be the first person that will announce the death of your boss because of the issues that actually surrounded that. But let me be clear with what happened, because I totally understand what the guest in the studio said. But as a political player, I would like to let you know that usually the problem is not with the subject of illness. When I mean the subject of illness is the personality. Maybe in the case of Yaradra, or even the case of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu that unfortunately just passed on. The issue has always been with the people surrounding them. And these people do not usually have constitutional roles. They don't have constitutional duties, aside the fact that they are close to the governor, they are close to the subject in power. And so when things like this happen, for example, we got to hear in the marketplace in Ondo State that the governor, sometimes in the day after his medical procedure, will be off for several hours. So it is left for people who surround him to continue to dictate and give directives in the name of the governor. And once this happens, these people will not want the rule of law to take its course. And this is exactly what degenerated to all of these things. Let me tell you that before now, everybody thought, oh, the problem was with the first deputy governor, Agbola Ajayi, who incidentally we all ran together in.
All right, Dotun, we'll definitely try to reconnect with you, but while we still have Okiki right here in the studio. Okiki, now the acting governor, which is the deputy governor, is actually expected to be sworn in today. Are we looking at an emergency plenary session by the House of Assembly today?
What I'll say about that is the constitution is clear. Well, it depends on the speaker if they want to have an emergency session. But the constitution is clear that where there's a vacant position, where the governor, by the reason of death or resignation, there's a vacuum in government. Now, what should happen should be that the deputy should fill in that space immediately. Now, specifically, just like you've asked, I cannot say specifically what they will be discussing at the session because, you know, there's a part to take. The speaker has a part to take, and he knows what to do at this point in time. So there shouldn't be any delay. There shouldn't be any time to start discussing or start thinking about what to do again. It is plain, it is direct. The rule of law should take its course.
All right, now still talking about, Aiyedatiwa, he will become governor, obviously, yes. And his time in office will start counting. Now, it's been mooted in several quarters that Aiyedatiwa has ambitions of his own to govern Ondo State and might even want to have, 2 terms. How can this constitutional lacuna be avoided?
Well, the deputy governor, who is the acting governor right now, will only can serve the term which his boss was elected for. Talking about Governor Akeredolu. So as it is now, what will then happen will be that if he intends to run, he can run one more term, and as it is, what will surely happen if he wishes to run after the term, this election, he can run again. It means that he has not exhausted his 8 years. What he has done, he has said with the former governor and is completing the term. He can decide to run as an individual with probably the party where he is now or another party for another for 2 terms.
Okay, now I'm being told that Dotun has we've been able to reconnect with him. Hello, Dotun, if you can hear me. Welcome back.
I can hear you.
All right, so what impact do you foresee the event having on the political dynamics in Ondo State?
Okay, sympathy, that's the first impact that I've seen, because the prayer that people had for the governor, because of the manipulation that happened with a few players in the polity, it turned to be, in the process of time, it turned from prayer to pity for the deputy governor, who is now the acting governor. And with the demise of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, now that might, in some strategic senses, embolden or empower the deputy governor to have an inroad into getting the
Okay, so we lost Dotun yet again. So I'll just pass the question to Okiki, who is with me in the studio. Please go ahead and answer that.
Can you read the question again, please?
All right. What impact do you foresee the death of the governor having on the political dynamics in Ondo State?
Well, just like Mr. Dotun mentioned, right now the acting governor has the level playing ground to do a lot of things. The impact will probably be that he might want to reshuffle the cabinet. He probably feels that there were some appointments that were made. He probably want to get some people on board. And I stated the last time I was here regarding appointment that loyalty is very, very important in politics. He probably want to get his loyal people on board and get them to work with him. So the impact will be that the deputy governor, who will be sworn in as the governor, will probably take steps to ensure that he's protected. That's talking about politics, protected politically and legally, to ensure that some of the things that were done by his boss, probably to review some of them and to ensure that they are actually well within the law.
All right, now, from time immemorial, Nigerians, stakeholders have actually been clamoring for an improvement in the Nigerian health sector.
Yes.
Now, despite huge yearly budgets, towards the health sector in the country, is this not an indictment that Akeredolu could not even be properly treated in Nigeria?
It is. I must confess it is, and it is, I must say that as a country, it's shameful. Really, it is. As we speak, we cannot continue to have this kind of issue. Take, for example, if it were to be a common man who had this kind of illness, I'm very sure that the person would have probably even died before the person can get to this kind of stage. So what we should look at is to look into our health sector and to speak to our leaders. These things should be done properly. We should have the health sector should be revamped. We should have our hospitals working. We should have our doctors being paid properly so that they can stop, exporting what they've learned here into some other countries and, leaving the country. So I must say that it is shameful that this has happened. The governor died abroad, and, most specifically, the health sector must actually be looked into.
All right. While the other guest that Dotun was actually speaking, I know you actually heard him. He agreed on some things you said and also disagreed on some of the things you actually said. What are your thoughts on his disagreement and how he feels about some of the things you actually talked about when it came to, the acting governor being sworn in today and, a plenary session and all that?
Just like I mentioned, it's possible to have different opinions. From my own end, what I believe is time should not be wasted. There should not be vacuum. There should not be any space at all. Now the governor is dead. Let there be an official statement. Let the Speaker of the House, let preparation start, and let the normal thing happen. There's no need to politicize anything again. The Constitution is there. Like I mentioned at the time, the last time I came to the studio, I mentioned that as it is done in developed countries, we need to start looking at these things and start imbibing these things, in the sense that when if this kind of thing should happen, for example, in the US, you would see that the next thing you are saying is that another, probably the vice president, if let's say, for example, God forbid, is the president, the vice president takes the oath of office immediately and becomes the president, and in fact, start addressing the people of the country. So as we speak now, what should happen should be that let the deputy governor, the acting governor, be sworn in as the governor. Let him, take the oath of office. Let him address the people and ensure that people are put at peace. Not that, a lot of news will be flying around and then people would not know where to go to or what to turn to or what to believe at all. The people are entitled to peace. They're entitled to getting information that will keep your mind settled. So that's my point.
All right. So now, because this is the reason why we actually asking the question why there has not been an official statement yet on his death, because there are lots of conflicting reports. Some are saying that he died in Lagos. Some are saying that he died in Germany.
Yes. Yes, I saw that. Some are saying he died in Germany. Some are saying he died in Lagos. But like what I mentioned before, let's wait for the family to bring out a press release. Let's wait for them. Let's do them the honor of giving us the information of what has happened instead of trying to figure out what has happened. I know that it's politics. Governor Akeredolu is known by everyone, and there will be a lot of here and there. People will say a lot of things, but let's do the family the honor of stating and of saying what has happened to the person and the cause of death and the lineup of the activities, and let's allow them grieve in peace and not try to meddle into their affairs.
All right. While we wait for an official statement, we will still send our deepest condolences to the family, the Akeredolu family, and also the people of Ondo State. Well, thank you so much, our online guest who has actually left us due to network issues, Dotun Ojon, for joining us, and also thank you so much, Okiki Adeniran, for joining me on the news to speak on this.
Thank you for having me.